So let's begin in a comfortable seat, coming into a cross-legged position. You might place something under your sit bones for some support. You might rock side to side as you start to settle onto the floor. Your hands can rest wherever is most comfortable. Let your eyes fall to close. Let's begin today's practice with a full body scan, starting from the crown of the head, visualizing a beam or an orb of light, any color of your choosing. And then visualizing that light illuminating areas within your body or areas within your mind or emotional body. Utilizing this time to do some self-study. Greet whatever it is that you find here with compassion and curiosity. Give your whole self permission to arrive in your space, in your body. As your body scan is complete, place one hand over your heart and one hand over your belly. Feel your breath beneath your one hand. Feel your heartbeat beneath the other. I invite you to create an intention or an affirmation for your practice this evening. See if there's a word or a phrase or a feeling that comes to the surface. Release your hands into your lap. Offer yourself a full breath in through the nose and a full breath out through the mouth. Gently blink your eyes open. Using your left hand, place the middle three fingers towards your palm so that your thumb and your pinky finger are extended. We're going to do some alternate nostril breathing. So what that looks like is taking a full breath in through the nose, and I'll guide you through this in a moment. Maybe some of you are familiar with this, but it's taking a full breath in through the nose, closing off the left nostril with the thumb as you exhale out of the right nostril, inhale through the right, and then closing off the right nostril and completing that similar pattern. So let's all take a full breath in to prepare. And then with the thumb closing off the left nostril, breathe out the right. Inhale right. Close off the right nostril with the pinky, exhale left. Inhale left. Exhale right. Inhale right. Exhale left. Inhale right. Exhale left or right. Maybe I'm saying this wrong, my apologies. Keep moving with this pattern, following your own breath, inhaling and exhaling through one side, closing off that nostril and following that pattern on the other side. Full breaths. Notice anything that might be showing up within the mind as you do this. Maybe noticing any congestion or clearness on either side. And just a few more rounds. Release your hand into your lap. Offer yourself a full breath in through both nostrils and out through both nostrils. Allow your breath to go back to normal. Notice anything that you might feel here mentally or physically, any changes. Gently blink your eyes open if they're not open already. Let's swap out the leg that is in front, creating a little bit more balance with your hands on your knees. Inhale, drawing your upper body from knee to knee. And as you exhale, tuck your tailbone and your chin, rounding through the spine. We're creating circles, offering a little bit of gentle movement for the spine. Take these circles in the other direction. Start to make your circles smaller and smaller until you arrive in stillness. We'll be heading into a caterpillar forward fold. So grab onto any props, blocks, bolster, anything that you have nearby. A few options, and you don't have to use anything either, but it might be nice and comforting as we'll be holding this for several minutes. So placing something underneath the legs, could even be a rolled up blanket. Sometimes in this caterpillar forward fold, I like to get creative with blocks so that I have a place to rest my forehead. Offer yourself whatever it is that you want and need here. And then as you're ready, start to fold down towards your legs a very small amount. So you're not fully folding or softening just yet. Slightly tuck your chin towards your collarbones. And see what it is that you find here. Tuning into any initial sensations that you're feeling. And over the course of the next handful of breaths, allow yourself to start softening towards your legs. Coming to a place of healthy resistance. And finding that balance between effort and ease. As you continue to settle here, see if there's any adjustments that you need to make, any additional support items that you need. Are there any places where you can soften, release any unnecessary gripping or effort? Although our yin practice is about settling and finding stillness, know that you always have permission to adjust as you need to. You can always move deeper into a posture, or you can always back away if you are experiencing too much sensation. We'll continue softening in here for about 10 more breaths. You don't need to necessarily count each breath. Continue softening and releasing with each exhale. Gently begin to rise up, drawing the top of your head towards the ceiling. Move any props out of the way. It might feel nice to move the legs a little bit, maybe sway the knees from side to side. And then extend your left leg long in front of you. Cross your right foot over the left leg, drawing the heel towards the outside of your left hip. So this is our half shoelace. You're welcome to stay here, maybe tune in just for a couple of breaths to see what sensation it is that you are experiencing. If you want more sensation in the hips, draw your left heel to the outside of your right hip. You can always offer some support between the knees, maybe a blanket or a block for some support underneath the bottom leg. You can always get creative. If your left leg is extended, you could place something underneath that leg as well for support. So over the next 3 breaths, tune in, see if there's any little bit of adjusting that you need to make. Make sure that any sensations that you're experiencing, you are able to stay with breath, or maybe find another variation or find a way to adjust so that you're not experiencing so much sensation. And then we are going to take eagle arms. So drawing the arms out in front, crossing the right arm over the left at the elbow, and then drawing the hands up towards the ceiling, maybe even guiding the palms together if that's available to you. If not, you could just keep the hands loose and the backs of the hands touching. Press through your elbows, pressing them down and away, opening up the shoulders. It might feel nice to stay here in stillness, or you could trace your elbows to one side and to the other side, exploring subtle movements. Mindfully unwind the arms, release your hands at your sides or on your ankles, and find some gentle movement for the shoulders. Taking your right hand, place it just underneath your left collarbone, so on your pecs, your chest. Draw your right ear towards your right shoulder, and then subtly find some movement for the chin, starting to stretch and explore the front left side of the neck. And keeping your hand connected to your chest, draw the top of your head up towards the ceiling, and then using that same right hand, find a little bit of gentle massage for the left shoulder, maybe even massaging the left side of the neck. Might even feel nice to press gently into the pecs, so the space underneath the collarbones. And release your right hand down at your side. Offer yourself 2 more breaths here in your shoelace position. Plant your hands on the ground behind you. Unwind your legs, planting the feet on the ground with the knees up towards the sky. And ever so gently drop the knees from side to side. You might even just let them hang on one side for a couple of breaths. And then without rush, we'll set up for the other side, drawing the right leg long, bringing the left heel to the outside of the right hip. And before we assume any final position, let your eyes come to close and just take a moment to listen to what this side feels like. And then see what it is that this side needs. Offering yourself items for support and comfort. See if there's any last adjustments that you want to make. As you're ready, draw your arms out in front of you, cross your left arm over your right at the elbow, coming into eagle arms, press your elbows down and away. Feel your full breath. Slowly begin to unwind your arms, releasing your hands at your sides. Find some gentle movement for the shoulders. Plant your left hand just beneath your right collarbone. Draw your left ear down towards the left shoulder. Explore subtle movements with your chin. Guide your head back to neutral. And find some gentle massage on the right shoulder and neck. Release your left hand down at your side. We'll be here for 3 more breaths. As you're ready, plant your hands on the ground behind you, unwind your legs. You might find the same counter movement by windshield wipering the knees from side to side, or maybe there's something else that would feel nice here. As you feel balanced, make your way onto your hands and knees. It might feel nice to just find some natural and intuitive movement as you arrive here. And come back to a neutral tabletop. Drop your belly towards the earth as you lift your gaze, looking forward. Press through your palms. Take a full breath in. As you exhale, tuck your tailbone and your chin, hollow out your belly, press through your palms and the tops of your feet. Inhale, drop the belly, look forward. Exhale, round through the spine. Allow the neck and the head to release. Come back to tabletop. We're going to head into a child's pose. You have the choice of taking traditional child's pose with your legs together,
Or if you want to continue to work into the hips and the low back, take your knees nice and wide towards the edges of the mat with the big toes touching. Draw your hips towards your heels, walk your hands forward, and then plant your forehead or your temple onto either the ground or a block, maybe even your towel or blanket. Just offering yourself a little bit more support. Give yourself permission to sink in here, softening towards the earth. Allow your breaths to be expansive. You're perfectly welcome to stay exactly as you are. But if you want to offer yourself a stretch for your side body, you can walk your hands over to the right, maybe even crossing the left hand on top of the right hand, and then setting the head back down. If you walk your hands over to the right, walk your hands back through center and then over to the left side. Become aware of any unnecessary gripping. See where you can release. Guide your hands back to center. Press in through your palms, lift your head away from the ground, shift yourself forward into tabletop. We're gonna head into melting heart, and we're gonna take it one side at a time. So what that looks like with the arm setup is having, let's see, how do I want to explain this? We're going to take the right arm and bending at the elbow, drawing the right hand. How do we want to do this? Yes, okay, it's been a while since I've taught this one. The right hand behind the left wrist with the fingers pointed towards the outside of the mat. You'll rest your forearm on the ground and then walk your hand forward so that your elbow meets the outside of your right hand. Plant your forehead onto your right forearm. You might have to adjust the lower half of the body a little bit. So your hand is acting as a stopper for the elbow. Give yourself permission to adjust as you need to. So although there is some effort here, keeping the lower half of the body lifted, see if you can find any places where you can release effort. Lift your forehead away from your arm, press into your left palm, come back into tabletop. We'll take this to the other side, planting the left forearm onto the ground, reaching the right hand forward. And then settling the forehead onto your forearm. Adjust the lower body as you need to. Lift your forehead, press into your right palm. Come to tabletop. Find some more natural, gentle movements. Doesn't have to be anything specific, just move however it is that your body wants to move. And then for our next pose, if you have blocks, we're going to use the blocks to place them
underneath the fronts of our shoulders. So underneath the collarbones, the chest.
So we're going to lower completely down onto the blocks. If you don't have blocks, that's totally fine. Just lower your whole self onto the ground, maybe turning one cheek onto the mat. And then if you do have the blocks, just adjust them so that your shoulders sit comfortably on them. You can plant your forehead onto the ground, draw your arms in at your sides. You can also take a temple to the mat. Offer yourself these next few breaths some time to just rest here. Feel yourself being held and supported. Bring your hands back in at your sides, maybe underneath the shoulders or just at the sides of the mat. Press yourself up, returning to tabletop. And then we'll set up for a pigeon or sleeping swan. I will guide you firstly through the traditional version and then through a modified version on your back. So from hands and knees, if you're taking the full version, draw your right knee directly behind your right wrist. You might even gently swing the foot over to the left a little bit, and then extend your left leg long behind you, inching it back. You might offer yourself something for support underneath the right hip or underneath the pelvis. You are welcome to stay in a lifted version in pigeon, or you could lower onto forearms. You might place a block underneath your forehead if you have one. If you have a bolster, you could place that underneath your abdomen for some really extra nice support. And then if you want to come into a modified version, come onto your back with your feet planted and your knees lifted towards the ceiling. Cross your right ankle on top of your left thigh, just below the knee. And then from here, you have a lot of choice in how much sensation you want to feel. You might stay here or lift your left foot away from the ground, threading your hands behind your left thigh, drawing the legs in towards the body. In whatever version you are in, make sure that you are feeling totally supported. It doesn't mean you won't experience discomfort. Just make sure that you are not forcing or pushing yourself too far.
It's especially not uncommon in this pose to experience gripping. It might not even be in the target area. You might notice yourself gripping in other areas. See where you can relax and release. It could even be as simple as releasing the jaw. We'll be here for 3 more full breaths. If you are in a reclined pigeon, unwind your legs, planting the feet. You might sway the knees from side to side or stretch the legs up into the air. If you are in a full sleeping swan, press into your palms, and then you have a couple of options. You could come back to tabletop, or you could roll to the outside of your right hip, drawing your left leg and foot forward, planting the feet, and then swaying the knees from side to side. If you are in tabletop, you might gently sway the hips from side to side. And then we'll come into pigeon on the other side. If you're reclined, draw your left ankle on top of your right thigh. If you're on hands and knees, draw your left knee behind your left wrist and scoot your right leg back. And then as always with the hips, really tune in and listen and see what this side needs. Honor any differences. Are there any places where you can invite a sense of ease?
If you're in reclined pigeon, unwind your legs, plant your feet, find some movement for the legs. Otherwise, press up into your hands, lifting yourself away from the ground if you took Sleeping Swan. And then shift yourself either into tabletop or roll to the outside of your left hip. Find some movement. One of our last poses is going to be a supported fish. And there are so many options for this. If you are familiar with fish with props, you are welcome to set up and get cozy. If you want some guidance, you could take a bolster or a cushion and you could place it either horizontally underneath your shoulder blades, or you could place it vertically, lining it up with your sacrum and then lowering your back onto the bolster. If you have blocks, you can do several things with these. You could take one of the blocks horizontally on the low setting underneath your shoulder blades, and then the other one would go underneath your head for support. You could also take the blocks vertically as well, creating a little bit of a bolster for the spine. Take your time setting up for this pose. The other option as well is to have a blanket or a towel rolled up and then place that underneath the spine or the shoulder blades. And there's a few different options that you can take for the lower part of the body. You could keep the feet connected to the ground with your knees up towards the ceiling. You could bring your feet together in butterfly, letting the knees fall down towards the ground, or maybe you take your legs long. Another good option, since we did a lot of external rotation poses for the hips, is to walk the feet towards the edges of the mat so that the knees come in towards the center so that they're connected. Your arms and hands can rest wherever is most comfortable. If you're feeling extra supported and comfortable in this supported fish pose, you're welcome to stay here for the duration of class, taking your Shavasana in this position. Otherwise, you could roll over to one side or
Use the muscles of the front body to lift yourself away from your props, making your way fully onto your back. And then before fully setting up for Shavasana, seeing if there's any last little bit of movement that would help make your practice feel complete. As you are ready, offering yourself anything that you want for warmth and support. Preparing yourself for a few moments of rest. You'll hear my voice shortly as it's time to reawaken. Let go of the ways you thought life would unfold, the holding of plans or dreams or expectations. Let it all go. Save your strength to swim with the tide. The choice to fight what is here before you now will only result in struggle, fear, and desperate attempts to flee from the very energy you long for. Let go. Let it all go and flow with the grace that washes through your days, whether you receive it gently or with all of your quills raised to defend against invaders. Take this on faith. The mind may never find the explanations that it seeks, but you will move forward nonetheless. Let go, and the wave's crest will carry you to unknown shores, beyond your wildest dreams or destinations. Let it all go and find the place of rest and peace and certain transformation. Bring awareness to your breath. Start to reawaken the body with gentle movements. You might roll to one side in the fetal position for about 1 or 2 breaths, or maybe you offer yourself a full body stretch. At your own pace, with your eyes still closed, make your way into a seat. And place one hand over your heart and one hand over your belly. Bring your palms to touch in front of your heart. I invite you to reflect on 1 to 3 things that you are grateful for this evening. Draw your thumbs up to meet your third eye, honoring kind and compassionate thoughts and creativity. Lower your thumbs in front of your mouth to honor kind and compassionate truth and speech. Lower your thumbs in front of your heart to honor kind and compassionate wisdom and action. Thank you so much for sharing your evening yin practice with me. The light within me sees and appreciates the light within you. Namaste.